A FNF mod featuring Momo and Nene just dropped, and this gives me an excellent chance to do a deep dive, or at least a mini deep dive into the horror character called Momo, and I also want to explain how Nene got herself into this situation in the mod. Now, most of you have probably seen Momo before, those weird bulging eyes, the creepy smile, and that feeling like her eyes are always following you, but you likely don't actually know her backstory, or at least what she is. Now, Momo first emerged back in 2018, and she was doing like these online challenges that supposedly encourage young people to engage in harmful trends and dares. So think of some of the more dangerous TikTok trends and then times that by 2 or 3, and then you'll probably understand why like parents, teachers, and even cops have gotten involved with some of these trends. And the funniest part about all this is that originally Momo was just a sculpture, and I believe she was created by a man named Kazuki. And originally, I think she was called the geisha bird because she looked like a mix between like a woman, I can't really say a beautiful woman, and a bird or a rooster type creature. And once her photos started spreading around the internet, people started making even more creepy images of her, along with creepy pastas and urban legends that really caught fire. And at the peak of Momo's popularities, reports surfaced claiming that Momo was appearing in children's videos, sending them disturbing messages like on their phones, on their computers, and even forcing young people to like do these dangerous dares or challenges. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier about parents and law enforcement and whatnot getting involved because they thought that this was real. But the craziest part about all this is that there was never really any proof that Momo was appearing in people's videos or forcing children to do anything, obviously because she's not real. Momo is just an example of something that really took fire on the internet, and it ended up scaring people so badly that it started going viral. So funny enough, none of these crazy challenges and dares were actually happening. People were just saying that they were happening, and that made people go into panic mode. Now, the sad part here though is that once Momo really started going viral and people started talking about these viral challenges that were not really happening, that's when the challenges actually started happening. So that's when children actually started doing some crazy stuff because Momo, quote unquote. And while it wasn't as rampant as people thought it was still bad enough to where at some point I think YouTube had to like ban some of the videos on YouTube so that people couldn't see them, and it got really hard to find her stuff for a while. Now you're probably wondering how Nene falls into all this in the FNF mod, and it's really simple. In the FNF community, Momo is real, and so her challenges are also real. So Nene one day basically decided to go through and complete each of these challenges, which the final one being to take this rope and this stool, and I think you know how it's supposed to end. And while some of you may be thinking that this is like an extreme thing, for Nene specifically, it's probably not a huge deal because I believe that the developers are using her original lore. And in her backstory, she is described as being a young lady who wants to take herself out and also who loves sharp objects, if you get my drift. So she did all these challenges without fear because she doesn't really have a fear of death per se. Now we don't really get to see how it ends for Nene, and while I think it's safe to assume how it ends, there is this little part in the mod where we see her having like flashbacks to when Pico and Darnell got into that fight, and we see them kind of make amends and do all that rigmarole, and maybe that changes her mind, so maybe she'll back out and not go through with the challenge, but it's kind of hard to say because it just fades to black at the end. I'm happy to see somebody actually make a mod on Momo here because even though she was obviously fake, it was just crazy to see how this creepy statue started such a uproar on the internet and then out into the world in general. But with all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this video on the screen here, subscribe today to become a member of the Horse Force, and we will see you tomorrow with another one. Peace, peace.